Hey, Wynn, thanks so much today for sharing your story. You've had such a huge impact at us at Princeton Mortgage. The way that you genuinely build relationships and stay in touch with it, and particularly, we through Larry Kendall's book Ninja Selling, we came across your 15 post-closing contacts, and I'd love if you could just share the story about how you created that, how you use it, and what it's done for you.
Sure, and thank you for having me here today. I did not come up with it myself. Everything that I've learned has, been begged, borrowed, or stolen. And was interviewing one of our top producers in our company, Harleen Alexander, who's now retired, and she was kind of the grand dame of the company. And asked her, so what's the secret of her success? And Harleen said it was her phone calls. And I said, well, tell me more, because everybody always talks about the phone calls. And she says, when it's about making phone calls that are calls that people want to receive, and things that add value to them. And I said, well, how do you come up with those? She says, what do you think is the favorite day that people have in their life? And I'm not talking about that recurs every year. I said, well, maybe Christmas. And she says, it's their birthday. And so I've made a habit of calling people on their birthdays, and I call them on their wedding anniversary, and I call them on the anniversary of their home sale, etc. And I said, well, how do you get those dates? And so she shared with me her fun facts sheet, which we now use a lot in Ninja, and I give it out at the closing table where there's that pause in the action, and if it's a couple, I'll usually ask her to fill it out because she's more likely to remember the birthdays.
Sure.
And then when I come back, I just put them into my CRM, and then it just pops up on the calendar for me to make those calls. I don't have to think about it. So, and you know what? People really do like those calls. I mean, it's to the point now where they'll pick up the phone and they'll chuckle and say, "Oh yeah, I know, it's her birthday in a few days, and this is your friendly keep your tail out of trouble call." And we just have fun with it. I actually had someone this morning, a customer of mine that I called to remind him that his wedding anniversary was coming up on Monday. And he said, Wynn, I'm not going to forget these calls, but I truly appreciate the fact that, or I'm not going to forget my anniversary, but I truly appreciate the fact that you honor us by calling us on a regular basis. And that tells us how important we are in your world. And that is what we're looking for. We don't want to have to be the star of the show. They're the star of the show. And by us honoring them, they're always going to remember us and use us when it comes time to buy or sell real estate or refer a friend.
Wynn, thanks. It's just an awesome story. And so do you structure your day in a certain way to be able to do this? And about how many calls a week do you make, would you say? Or phone conversations?
It's my goal to make a minimum of 75 phone calls a week,
okay.
Which I know doesn't sound like a whole lot, but and it's really not if you structure it. So I approach my phone calls at hour of power, just like I would any other appointment with a customer. So if I'm taking buyers out to look at properties, I'm going to put that in my calendar, and I'm not going to let anything conflict with it. Or if I'm going on a listing appointment, I'm not going to let anything conflict with that listing appointment. So I structure my phone calls the same way, where Monday mornings from 9 to 11 o'clock, I'm making those phone calls. Thursday mornings from 9 to 11 o'clock, I'm making those phone calls. And unless I have an out-of-town buyer where, everything gets turned upside down because you really have to be there 100% full-on focused with them, I stick to those schedules even when I'm out of town. I'll make those calls. So,
and I think
it's easy to do.
And Larry Kendall from the group in Ninja Selling shared with me that you spend 9 to 12 weeks a year out on vacation. Is that right? You do 75-ish units?
Yeah, I do. Well, I do anywhere from 50 to 65-ish.
65. And you go on vacation, or you travel for 12 weeks a year, huh?
Yeah, this year, if nothing changes, it'll be 12 weeks. So
could
go to 13.
So what do they say? If you work the system works for you?
It's like I say, this is not brain surgery. So it's if you do it right, then it pays off.
Great. Hey, Wynn, thanks so much for sharing your story.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.